have written questions, you'd rather not ask, like stand up and ask, and you want to fill out one, you can hand that to Anna and she will pass that to me. Now, are there any members of the press with us tonight? Any members of the press? Okay. So, just a brief little explanation about the league. So this meeting has been planned. It's conducted by the Voter Service Committee of the League of Women Voters in the Cooperstown area. So the league is a nonpartisan political organization. So that sounds a little bit confusing, both nonpartisan and political. We are nonpartisan in that we do not support or oppose political parties or candidates. But we are political in that we believe democracy is not a spectator sport, and that all citizens need to educate themselves and participate in our democracy. So we're not engaging in organizing and hosting events like this, candidates nights. We study issues and policies. We come to member agreement about those issues, and then we do lobby based on those decisions. So that's that political piece of what we do. The league was founded in 1920 when the 19th Amendment was ratified, giving women the right to vote. We've retained that name, League of Women Voters, because of those suffragist roots. But for well over 50 years, 50, all people 16 years and over have been included in our membership. So our local league was founded in 1972. And over the years, we've had a local impact on a number of issues ranging from recycling, voting machine selection. We've worked with Meg Kennedy on the county administrator issue, for example. So anyway, we hope you will consider joining us. It would be great to have more members of our club, so to speak. So tonight we have with us 5 candidates for 2 open positions, and for 2 open positions on the Milford Town Council. These positions will serve a term of 3 years, is my understanding. And the candidates in alphabetical order by last name are Russell Langford, Peter K. Paffenroth, Charlotte Thorsland, Kristen Velasco, and Kevin Yerdon, who has not arrived yet. So the ground rules for this evening have been reviewed in advance by our candidates. Each candidate will have up to 2 minutes for an opening statement, the order of which was determined by a draw just a few minutes ago. The timekeeper will hold up a sign when 1 minute is up, when 30 seconds remains, so 1 minute remains, 30 seconds remains, and then there's a stop sign when the time is up. After opening statements have been made, we will take questions from the audience. And you can just stand up and do that. We will also we have provided the paper for anyone who wants to submit the written questions. So, and I'll just alternate as appropriate, but we do encourage you, if you got something that you want to, ask questions about, this is the time to do it. We'd love to hear it, and everybody, I'm sure, will learn from there are no stupid questions. It's all good, so please do ask questions. At the end of the question period, candidates will have an opportunity for a brief 1-minute closing statement, if they so choose. We are scheduled to conclude at 9, but we can end earlier if all questions have been answered. So, as you may know, there's no contest for the town supervisor, town clerk, tax collector, and town justice. But if any of you are present tonight, can you stand up? Is anybody? Any of those positions? Okay. All right. And then also at the end of the debate tonight, if you would like to, talk with these candidates, feel free to do so. Again, what we ask is that you ask questions for tonight, as opposed to making statements or whatever, letting people know how you feel on certain things. We want these candidates to have a chance to do that. So, but please feel free to do that afterwards. We're more than welcome to. The other thing that I wanted to mention was, except for the League of Women Voters and if the press were here, any recording of this event is not permitted. We will be recording it. We will post it on our YouTube channel. And all candidates have signed a release for that recording. So if you wish to ask a question without your voice on the recording, you have the option again of just submitting a written question, and I will ask it on your behalf. So let's go ahead and start with our opening statements, and the first person will be Peter Paffenroth.
Okay. Hi, I'm Pete Paffenroth. I live over on Lakeshore Drive North. I've been in and out of the vicinity since 2004. We moved here then, and we had 2 children going to Milford. They graduated, and then one of them went to SUNY Honor. She got a teaching thing, her teaching certificate, and then she was recruited to Arizona. So we jumped up and went to Arizona because we had a grandchild, and that's kind of, I think, God lets us get old for it so we can enjoy our grandchildren. And before we left, I was actually the zoning enforcement officer, the environmental officer, and I was the vice president of the Goodyear Lake Association. And now we came back because my wife loves it. She teaches English as a second language at Cooperstown and Worcester, and so she is an adjunct, drives back and forth. 1 minute, okay? And then we moved back, and I became the president of the Goodyear Lake Association, and I joined the Board of Education for 3.5 years, and I joined the Rotary. So now I would just, I just want to be involved in the town. I know the politics of the town, which is tough, but I just want to do what is best for the town. Thank you very much.
Now the opening statement from Russell Langford.
I'm Russell Langford. I live just down the road. I lived here for about 5 years. I work in Bassett. I'm a firm believer in being actively involved in the community. And I've done this as currently I'm president of youth athletics. I'm on the planning board. And my desire is to help out wherever I can and to be an active participant. I don't believe in being part of the silent majority, but I do want to help where I can. I believe in looking at all angles of particular topics. Over the course of my life, I've lived in many different areas, from Utah to Maine to New Hampshire, and I found that most people have very similar goals in the end. How they reach those goals may be different. Most people, I believe, are good people, and if we can come to common grounds, we're able to get great things done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Russell. And now the opening statement from Kristen Velasco.
My name is Kristen Velasco. I am currently serving on the town board. I've been serving since 2017. It is by far, other than being a parent and a grandparent, probably one of my most proudest things that I've done, because I am born and raised in this area. My parents were born and raised here. My grandparents were born and raised here. My daughters, thankfully, are raising their children here now. I, like Russell, believe that you should be involved in your community. You should take pride in your community. I like to believe that I have made some positive strides with the board currently. And as a taxpayer, like you all, I'd like to keep our numbers reasonable. I really would love the opportunity to serve the town and continue to serve the town. I was also an EMT for 11 years. I know everybody, which is a small town perk. I just appreciate the opportunity to serve the citizens of Milford.
Thank you, Kristen. And Jessie Thorsland.
Hi everyone. Sorry, I have to read my kids are pros here. So thanks everyone from the League of Women Voters. Thank you all for coming out tonight. But most importantly, thank you for caring about your community enough to come in and participate in this. My name is Jessie Thorsland. I have lived here for about 37 years, and I am proud of this community for all the many things it offers our families and our citizens. I've been a nurse for 34 years. I've worked at the Springbrook. I'm a homeowner and a renter. I have a year-round housing that I rent out. I'm fortunate to be part of this community, and I've served on different entities such as the Milford Historical Society, Bigger Lake Association, at Milford Education Foundation, and volunteered with Little League and Boy Scouts. 2017 had major two life-changing events. This community supported us, my son and I, and was an inspiration to us. And I truly love this community and believe that in what we can do. Now, I have to admit, I don't know a lot about politics and the inner workings of all of this government, but my focus is sustainability. My biggest concern is our school is being jeopardized by all the weekly rentals, and I just think our quality of life as year-round citizens has been impacted. My goal is to work with this community and continue to make it a beautiful, welcoming community. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you all. Now, I'm going to go over the ground rules for the question period. So audience members with questions, we're going to ask you to stand. Go ahead and state your name, address, and indicate to whom the question is you're addressing it to. If it's everybody, just say it's everybody. And to ensure that everyone has a chance to pose a question, limit your question length to a minute. And then we'll ask everybody, we want to make sure everybody has a chance. So if you have a second question, please wait until everybody's had a chance to ask their question. The candidates will be limiting their answers to, they shouldn't be longer than 2 minutes. They can decline to answer the question if they choose. Candidates, if a question is only asked to one candidate, and you would actually like to address it, just let me know, raise your hand. And again, that will only be for 2 minutes. As far as the types of questions, I think questions pertaining to the issues is what we're looking for. Controversy, different opinions are certainly welcome, but no personal abusive questions or comments are permitted. These individuals, they put themselves before the public by running for public office, and that's a line of public service that must be respected. So we also ask no speeches from the floor. I will reserve the right to interrupt if someone is going on, or particularly issue dominates the discussion so much that we need to move on. Given the size of the audience, I don't anticipate that being an issue. But anyway, we just want to get to as many questions as possible based on our time constraints. Let's go ahead and start off with our first question. And why don't I'll just get things going. Maybe there's a moment over a little bit. So this is a question for all of you. And so if you are elected, what would you say, if you could only pick only one issue, what is that issue? What is the priority for you, number one? And name some actions you would propose to take to address them. So we're going to start with the order. We're going to start with Peter as our first person.
Okay, main issues. I'd say one of the main issues would be getting more people involved with things that are going on in town. Because when I was on the school board, there would be 2 people showing up to a school board meeting. I'm on the Lake Association, the president. There's the 9 people that are on the board, and then maybe 4 or 5 people showed up. And it's just, we need to get things done and stuff, but it's hard when no one is there to back you up, or they just, I don't know, this is bad, what to say, but you usually don't hear from people unless they have a problem. It's, something like, well, you're doing a great job on this, you're doing this is bothering me, what are you gonna do about it? And a lot of the times, you can't do nothing about it because there are so many changes and regulations and laws over the years that, you know, you could do one thing one year and the next year you have to change it because it's not right. You know, it's something that was passed or something that wasn't passed, you know, like the electric and having no gas use, that's supposedly coming up, but I mean, this town cannot handle all of that electricity use because, I mean, we've seen it in the last year, we've had, what, 3 or 4 blackouts and things, so I mean, we have to look realistically at what we can do and what we can't do, and, you know, it's gonna be.
What do you think what action would you take to get more people involved? What would you do?
I don't know, I've tried with the legislature, we've tried having, Goodyear Lake Day, we've tried having picnics, we try having things for the people come get invited, and it's the same 10 people, and it's like the same with all other boards, it's the same 10 people that have been on the board, some people have been on the board for 20 years, and I mean, no, I was one of them, but no.
Alright, good, alright, what about you, Russell, what would you say if you only have one issue, what's that top issue, and what actions would you take to address them?
That's kind of tough because there's a lot of different things that are going on right now. I know that for me, one of the most pressing things would be the utilities, and it seems that the electric bills are going outrageous. And to work to help get people involved, Peter eloquently talked about how difficult it is to get people involved. It is statistically, no matter where I've been, it's the same 10 people that are doing the majority of the work. And that's especially true of this area. But I think as a community, we need to come together to help to remedy the monopoly that NYSEG has and remedy how that can be negatively impacting us. I think about what were to happen, we don't have reliable electricity in this area. What happens if a house only has electricity and then all of a sudden the power goes out? That to me is very concerning. It would be different if you're in a larger area where you have a lot more resources and the infrastructure is better, but it's very rural out here. And it's rural in a way that is very concerning. So I think that as a community, we need to come together to help make a change and protect the rights that we have for different utilization of resources to help keep ourselves and our houses maintained and healthy.
Kristen, what about you? What would you, if you could only choose one, what would it be and what issue would it be and how would you go, what actions would you take?
My current action and passion right now is helping the town barn become an actual town barn, a workable place and safe place for our employees. I'm working currently with a grant writing company to get grants or try to secure grants so that we can either get a new, which we are in dire need of, a town barn, and so that our employees can come there and not have to work in deplorable conditions, and they can keep the roads safe for our community and our school children. We currently have over 30 school districts that use our roads to get to BOCES. We're looking into shared services and the grants and the opportunities that these other municipalities and schools and government entities get from the state to help fund some of the things that we need to, you know, our payroll or our equipment. So the town barn is very high in my priority. I've seen it. Like I said, I've grown up here my entire life. I drive by it every single day. I personally know all of the men that are working there. My hat's off to them. They keep us safe, but I want to maintain that safety for them, and I
Jesse, what about you? You can only pick one. You can
Again,
ask,
there's a
we
lot I
talked about
don't
this
know.
later, but if you can only pick one, you know,
Well, I'm
what would
just,
it be, what actions would you take?
yeah, I'm still focused on our school and sustaining our school numbers. I would like to see us work with the school board maybe, or with fellow community about what can we do to help our school district, because the weekly rental is impacting our community that way, because people don't have a home to come to. There's no place for people to live year round. And is there more housing somewhere for year round that we can find for people, for families, to help enhance our school numbers? Is there other businesses? Is there, you know, ways of getting more tax money? My understanding is our weekly rentals, you know, people are being charged for seasonal housing, and they're really year-round housing. And, you know, would that help us in any way to find funding? I'm glad to see that. But, you know, I don't claim to have the answers, but I like, because I feel like the people who have been on board have done a good job. But I think we need to bring somebody in, get a moratorium. I know what other communities our size has done to help our community sustain and get through this, and so our school doesn't get absorbed into the abyss. There's gotta be some answers.
Terrific answers, very thoughtful. Are there questions from the audience? Any questions? Yes, if you can just state your name and.
My name is Patricia Barrow, and I just lived down the road a few, 3 miles. I've lived here about, I'm not gonna say how long, because then it makes me really old. I have a question for all of the board members, and you can answer one at a time. I don't care who goes first. I'd like to know how many of you have read the comprehensive plan that was written back in 2012 and approved by the board, the town board.
Okay, we'll start with, Russell?
I reviewed parts of it, I have not read it in its entirety.
Do you plan on reading it?
Yes,
Thank you.
that'll be one of the next things I do.
Myself, no, I have not read it, I don't think, unless I read it back years ago when I was involved with the town.
And, Kristen?
Yes, I've read it. Like I said, I'm currently working with a grant writing company. One of the grants that we are looking into to get approval from the federal government and state government is to rewrite the comprehensive plan. Although it was well written, it's not necessarily, and I don't mean to degrade anybody that partook in the writing of it. It wasn't written as an actual comprehensive plan. It's well written, but it's not focused on what the goals are for Milford that fit the current economy and the structure of Milford, how it is with taxes and such. So yes, I have read it.
Jesse?
And I have not read it.
Do you plan on reading it?
Yes, it has been told to me and someone has spoken to me about it, but I don't feel like I have enough knowledge about it or understanding of it, and I think it sounds like it needs some work.
Because there was a survey done for the whole town, and people had a chance to have their input in that. So I think it would behoove everybody to review it and read it again.
Thank you, Patricia. Any more questions? Is there another question from the audience? Okay. Okay, while you think about that, I have some backup. If you are elected, and this is for everyone, if you're elected, how will you communication between the town board and residents, and we'll start with Kristen.
Oh gosh. We currently, we do have a new website that, I'm in the process of learning how to post things and, update things. We also have a Facebook page. It has been, I have discussed, possibly doing some sort of mailing or some kind of social events, a round table, if you will, where we can, because honestly, in my 7 years so far on the town board, it's minimal people that show up to the meetings, and every week I encourage them to show up on the Facebook page and say, hey, we're meeting tonight, we'd love to see you, and it's the same 2-3 individuals. So I would like to have some kind of town hall, roundtable, open discussion where, and maybe once a month or once every quarter, where we can all just come together and voice our opinions, because not everybody likes to come out in a public setting, especially if things are being recorded, as far as note-wise and then posted. Just kind of coffee hour, if you will. Get to know people as well.
And Jesse, any thoughts on improving communication between the town board and residents?
Well, I know when I was on the Milford Education Foundation, we worked to put that board, lit board to improve communication for parents and grandparents, because some of the older folks have a hard time with technology. So it was one forum to get people to see it. Can be a little disturbing light-wise and impact the environment. So I'm not clearly sure that's the way we want to go, but I think there needs to be something more out here other than on the bulletin board, because not everyone can get here during non-working hours, during working hours. But I think the whole Facebook is really important, and mailing if possible would be some of my thoughts. Maybe door to door, I don't know. That's what we did when I was on the Lake Association. We would go knock door to door years ago and just meet as board members to get people to be familiar with us and who we are, and see what we have to say.
And what about Peter? Your thoughts on how to improve communication between the town board and
Well, we
residents?
could, like was mentioned, we could put out flyers, we could mail, we could do the internet, but like also since the internet is, several elderly people don't go on the internet, and it's, would be, I mean, too expensive to mail out letters, because I mean, somebody sends a letter now, it would, cost tons, but and then, could have like a monthly, like you mentioned, to meet the candidates in the coffee, people have coffee, sit down, have something, and meet the candidates, and or have a question and answer thing. So not everyone would have to show up, but just one or maybe the board could make a committee where 1 or 2 people would go and listen to the people's complaints and then come back and we could talk and then work on it, instead of just like you said, having 3 people show up and the same 3 people, they're complaining, well not complaining, they're asking for results, but it seems like complaining because they're always there, because a lot of times things can't be done. It's like, oh, we need, one of them was, we need lines on 35 going down towards the lakes down there. That's county, we have nothing to do with that, and sadly with the roads, we are surrounded by county, we're surrounded by state, we share, monies to plow the certain ones that are easier, and I don't really,
You got to extend, keep going if you want.
and just getting more people together the best way we can, because it is impossible to get things done and voted on when we have 3 people show up. Okay, thank you.
In the day that we live today of technology, certainly Facebook and the website is really a major way of communicating to the community. I will confess, I am not great at either of those. So with Milford Youth Athletics, what we've done is I found some people that really thrive at it, and they do an amazing job of being able to distribute information. But because of the population of this area and a lot of the intricacies of it, I do think that a mailer, probably not monthly because it does become very, very costly, but quarterly, to let people know what is available, what things are coming up. If there's positions that are open on the planning board or even the town council, so that people are aware, hey, this is what's going on, if there's activities going on. So they can kind of plan it and just feel like they're aware. I know I was in a smaller community where they did that. And I'll be honest, I enjoyed receiving that because it helped me to feel connected to what was going on in the community. And then certainly having some type of sign, like I know the Milford Central School recently got a sign. I'll be honest, at first I was very kind of against it. I was like, really? You're going to do this? It's going to cost a lot of money? And I'm really kind of grateful for it because there are things that are advertised on that as I go and pick up the kids I have 6 kids, by the way, so I have a lot of kids in the school. And it has really helped me to know some things that may be happening that I wouldn't be aware of otherwise. So I think that using every avenue that we have to distribute information is important.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Question? Yes.
Patty Kowalski, I'm a neighbor from Cooperstown. And I drive through Milford frequently, and I've seen your old signs, Milford Strong. And I wonder if each of you would say something about what you think the strength of Milford is.
Thank you. Let's start with Jessie. You want to talk about what you think makes, what is Milford strong to you?
For me, it's the people. I mean, I've seen multiple times when families or the fire or when people have been in need, people have just stepped out and just outpouring. Whether there's people who help the scouts get a badge, or whether there's people who volunteer to lead the Boy Scouts, people that come to the pancake dinners and stuff. Everyone pitches in. The fire department, I mean, our volunteer firemen give so much, and it's thankless, and they're what make us strong. That's who makes us, and it just goes unacknowledged sometimes of how generous people can be in our community.
Peter, what does a Milford strong mean?
What it means to me is that there is a good camaraderie of people, you know, and because it is such a small town that you see people all over, so you can conversate and see what's going on, and then everybody loves the town. It's like with sports, you know, that is one thing in this town that booms. You know, everybody is for sports. If like the sports team needs money, they're willing to give their house up for it. But you know, but certain things, if you know, most of them want to do what is best for the community because it is a beautiful community. I mean, you can't beat it. It's a beautiful community. There's beautiful people. It's just, you know, this is heaven. You know, heaven on earth right here, except for some of the taxes and stuff. You know, that's something we will have to try to work on. But you know, that's all that it means is people will work together. And if you need something in this town, no matter what it's from, or what it is, you can get it. If it's money, if it's furniture, if it's clothing, if it's love, if it's care, if it's friendship, this town gives it, and they give it, I say, to the max. You know, that's kind of what I think of the strong means.
Russell, what about you?
I really will just go off of what's already been said. The community, the people, as I think about, as I'm involved, again, as I go back to the youth athletics program, to see the people come together and to know that I know my kids are safe. And if it's not my older kids watching my younger kids, it's other kids in the community that will help just to make sure that they're safe, and even other adults. And there's a unity that's involved in this area that's really hard to come by. I've lived in many different areas. And there is a very unique, palpable unity that Milford has. And I know that when I was looking at places to move, I was looking at Cooperstown and, well, everywhere within the area, because again, I work at Bassett. And one provider that I was working with, he grew up here, and his kids grew up here. He says, it's a small school, but it's interesting because you don't get the cliques like you have in other schools. Because everybody has their quirks, but as they grow up, and it's not that everybody gets along 100%, but they're more like siblings as opposed to classmates. And they just understand each other, and they'll stand up for each other. And that's one of the things, and it's not just in the school with children, but it's within the community as a whole, where people come together. I look at, after that fire, I remember there was a big meeting at the church there, and I went to that, and I was inspired by the amount of outpouring and care and love and the donations and things that people were doing to help those people that were affected by that. And that's what Milford Strong is.
And Kristen?
I have to echo everything that's been said already. Again, being born and raised here, and now being able to walk down the streets in Milford with my grandson and waving, everybody's a neighbor. Everybody is your neighbor, and you could live 5 miles from them. I can walk down the road with my grandson and be like, hey, Karen, how you doing? And she'll be like, oh, and it's the hug. You get the hug, and you get the, do you need anything? If you need something, I'm there for you. I've lived just outside of the village since '88, and I feel like I know everybody. Like, I just know everybody. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I feel like I know everybody. And I take pride knowing that I know everybody. There are some people, that I have older children now. I don't know everybody. I'll admit I don't know everybody in the school. But at least I know if the school's having a fundraiser, I am there to support them. I am there because my children went there. I am there because my grandchildren are growing there. Milford is just a beautiful place, just beautiful. I mean, my father rebuilt the store the first time it burned down, and the coming together that time was just as impactful as the coming together this time. And it's such a beautiful place. It's so together. Milford's great.
Are there other questions from? Did anyone submit anything to you, Anna, at all? Just making sure. Did anyone give you?
No.
Okay, all right. I have a question about, in any situation, there's always the potential for conflict. How do you handle interpersonal conflict? You don't have to give an example specifically, but if you have a thought of, how do you handle conflict? How do you resolve conflict when you're facing that? And I'll start with Peter.
Okay, how I usually deal with it now is, since I became a Christian like 25 years ago, before that I used to deal with it like screaming, yelling, and all that crazy stuff. But now it's like I just have to deal with it and look at it and just say, okay, how would God handle this? And then just be okay. And that other person is probably screaming and yelling because they have a problem that they need handled. So screaming and yelling back at them or doing, crazy things like that isn't going to help nothing. So, you just sit down with them and try to just handle things. And if they can't, then you just part. Thank you very much. If you have any other questions that I think or I hope I can help you with, please contact me again. But, this is probably as much as I can do for you right now. And you just have to handle it civil, because if you're going to be in the public eye, as you say, you can't do one thing bad, because I noticed that's around person that was working for the school board, talking about, because I'm not on it, for the school board, that if you lie to anybody in this town, they will never believe you or trust you again. And that's what you have to do. You have to make sure that they can have your trust and keep your trust and not just be politician guy. This guy actually cares for and wants to do something for this town, you know, and the best thing about this town too is that, Kristen was saying, you can walk down the street with your grandchildren and you can do trick or treat and all that stuff with the children. But like when I lived in Los Angeles, you weren't even, you know, if you wanted to walk out in your yard, you were taking a chance.
Okay.
So here, this is just, like I said before, this is just heaven on earth, you know, for
Great.
a family.
I'm also came from Los Angeles as well, so. Okay, Russell, what about you? Handling conflict?
When I have someone that I have conflict with, I try to understand where they're coming from. I mentioned I live in many different areas, and if I can understand where they're coming from, that's where I found most people really are good people. Most people want a lot of the same things. Again, there may be differences on how to get it, but there's a lot more that we have in common than we have separate. One time, many years ago, I was president of an HOA to a community, and it was right after right before the housing market crashed. So there was some discrepancies between, is it an HOA, is it not an HOA? There was a homeowners association. And there was a common property that was owned by these 80 homes. And as we started to organize that and get it going, there were a lot of very strong conflicting opinions. But we worked on the things that we had in common, the things that we wanted, to try to get things going forward. And I'm not going to say it was easy or fun, and I'm not going to say that people's feelings weren't hurt. Some people, they realized, oh, wait a minute, and it was really the property that made it so you really couldn't get away from that HOA. But I think that we were able to come together where people had a very civil community, and they ended up having a property that they turned into a beautiful park that they could really enjoy. And I think that that's kind of an example of, with anything, if you can come together on the things you have in common, then the things that are so separate really don't take that big of an impact, and it helps resolve a lot of that conflict.
Kristen, what about you?
I'm a fixer. I am very much I will listen and then I will do my darndest to fix it. I don't deal with conflict well. I'm gonna be honest, I don't deal with it well. I don't like people's feelings hurt. I don't like people sad. I'll stay up all night and talk to you until we can get some kind of resolution that is good for everybody. In a group setting, I am in HR and I'm also in finance at the same, I'm two in one person, I guess you could say. So I deal with 19 other employees, and I, on a daily basis, speak to somebody how you would want to be spoken to. Going along with I'm the fixer. So if there's conflict, I'm gonna put you two together, or I'm gonna put me in the middle, and we're gonna work this out. We're gonna sit here all night until we come to a common ground. We are gonna get along and we are gonna be friends. We're gonna be friends. It's how it's gonna be. And the world will be a happy place. I always joke around saying that I need to take over the world just for a day. And we'd all be getting along very well. I'm kidding myself, but it's a good theory.
Thank you, Kristen. And Jessie, what about you? How do you?
Generally pretty honestly and directly. I welcome discussions. I don't believe in compromising our values. I think it's very important to have values and respecting other people's values and opinions. But I think listening is the core thing. I think, especially right now in our climate, in our political world, I think everyone needs to be heard. They have to be respected, and there has to be compromise, because if we don't compromise and treat everyone with as much compassion and grace, then we're not who we are. I work in a medical office, and I deal with parents who are watching their children struggle or financially, or deal with provider issues or HR issues, and you just have to sit down and talk and do the best you can. Everyone has good intentions for the most part, but we have to have compromise and listen fairly.
Back to you guys. Yes.
A question. My name is Vera Sosnowski. Tell me one thing that the town does well that you think. It's for everybody. Everybody. Kristen wants to start because she has one thing the town does well for us, the community.
Okay, let's start.
The
The town board or the
Town board, or the town does well for the community.
What the town does well for the
Yep.
community.
What does the town do well?
Okay. Let's start with, Jesse, why don't you start this one?
For me, I think when I've come to meetings, I have found the town board and all the different entities of it very welcoming and willing to make me understand or compromise on some of my thoughts or views. And I have appreciated that greatly, because as I keep saying here, I don't know a lot, but I've been educated, and I really appreciate everybody giving me direct eye contact and talking to me like a human being, not that I'm some ignorant person that doesn't know what she's doing.
Kristen.
Being on the board, I will say that I'm very proud of how the four of us, along with the supervisor, not act as board members, but as community members. The decisions that we make are always reflective of how the community feels. We may not please everybody, but we certainly try to please the majority and do what's in the best interest of the people. So I think as board members, or even the town itself, we are good listeners, and we do believe that we can gain the trust of the people if we just listen to them and speak to them like Jesse said, and speak to them like they are being heard.
Russell.
I hate to say, I'm gonna reiterate what's already been said, but afraid I am. So, I would say that the boards that I've been involved in, they are very welcoming. They are open to people coming in and asking questions, and making it so that they don't feel like it's a stupid question. To say, hey, here's the reason we do the things that we do. And also looking at if there's something that just isn't right, maybe fixing it. Like I know we recently worked on some amendments to the ordinances. And they were pretty minor things, but some wording needed to be fixed, and we were able to get that done. And it was both town council and the planning board that worked to get that done. And I think that the ability to come together and move forward, work together on those things really is something that this town does really well.
And Peter?
Well, what I think is, what I like about the town is that when they say they are gonna do something, if it is at all possible for them to do it, they'll do it. You know, they're not like, oh yeah, okay, you wanna do this, yeah, we'll do this, yeah, we'll do this, and then they have a whole different agenda. But they don't hear from the years and things that I've been around, and for the last couple, it's just they care about the place, and it's not just like, power struggle hard, I'm a councilman, so I can do and say whatever I want to and stuff like that. They actually do try to help the community, and they do care about the community. And it's just, what did you do or what are you gonna do for the town, and there's, I mean, not a lot of things that actually can be done too much. Fix roads, fix that, you know, have the houses fixed, have good zoning rules, have, you know, all of those different things so that, and just make everything, I kinda hate this word, but transparent to the people.
Okay.
So they can see what's going on, you know, cause that is one of the biggest things, everybody, all politicians, everybody says, it is transparent, but then, oh yeah, we can't tell you that, or we can't tell you that, or we can't tell you that, or we can't tell you that, but it's still transparent.
Great.
And that's kind of what, you know, they are rather transparent.
Thank you. Yes, we have another question.
I'm hearing tonight, this would be for everybody, I'm hearing tonight that there is, that affordable housing or lack of affordable housing seems to be a threat to the community right now. So, and knowing that other communities are dealing with that as well, I'm reading, I'd like to hear from each of you what specifically you would like to see happen and how it could happen for this community. So if you could speak a little bit more to affordable housing in Milford.
This one is also.
Affordable housing is a really challenging thing. You have to look at what is available. I remember when I moved here, finding a house was really challenging. Finding one that was going to work my family size and do the things that we needed it to do. And affordable housing is really challenging. And part of that goes back to this mandate of all electric housing. And I'm not sure how that's going to help or hinder that. But with anything, it's about incentivizing people to come in and build housing. But you also have to have the demand for that. And I know that there certainly is a demand. One of the greatest challenges is because of the prominence of the short-term rentals, it is very, very hard to find a house to rent year-round. It's hard, and then even harder to find a house to buy. So I think that working with contractors or developers to start pursuing and get them interested in maybe, hey, let's start working on some subdivisions. The ordinances that go into what a lot is required means that's going to take a lot of land. So there needs to be some things to help with that to ensure that this is a small bed and breakfast community. A lot of people love it, being a very small rural community. But we also need to work on helping to change things. Well, not necessarily change is what I'm looking for. Make it so that it's appealing for people to come in and build housing that is affordable for families to move in. And that ultimately would help the community, it would help the school.
Thank you. Let's have Jessie. Comment on affordable housing.
So we need more housing. We all clearly know that. How to make that completely available, I'm not completely certain. I do think it comes back down to my concern about this weekly rental. You know, I think it needs to be more difficult for people to do weekly rental. I think we should look at how many hotels in Cooperstown can support the baseball world. I think we need a certain amount of it, but I think we need to limit it and maybe see what the government can offer us in more housing. Is there buildings that we can turn into something else? You know, I don't know. I don't have an answer, but there's something out there that must be able to help us. We have senior citizens who are struggling to keep their homes because they can't afford it all. Maybe we can figure out some kind of senior citizen housing situation to help with that. To then, you know, if we have a community of senior citizen housing, then maybe we can use those homes for young families. I'm not sure how that would work, but there needs to be something done to implement it, and I'd be interested in finding out what.
started doing the transient rental permits, I was doing about 75 to 100 one year for, a couple of years in a row, and back then it saved a lot of people because you could make as much in 13 weeks and pay your whole mortgage and then be able to get somewhere. But then it just got to be where, okay, I have some money, I want to buy that, I make it a rental, and I can only rent it these certain months and these certain months and these certain months. That's good for the nurses and good for the doctors and good for everybody that's coming to visit and want to get a nice house up here in the country. But it's bad for, but it's bad for the people having a house here. And then the problem with that is they'll buy any amount, they'll pay any amount. Back when we were trying to buy houses here, 20 years ago, people were out bidding us in cash. Here you go, I'm gonna make a transfer rental, I'll pay $300 for that, I'll pay $450 for that, I'll pay this for that, and the money out here is not there unless you have come from someplace else. And as far as building all more tenants and more apartments and stuff, that's good, but a lot of people don't really want that either, because then that's taking the small little town that we all love and care for into another rural city where you're gonna have traffic like you have when it's baseball season. And so I think it's kind of hard and tough because of how we are situated and how. Okay. Thank you.
Kristen?
I, like Jesse and Russell have said, would like to see the weekly rentals be limited, but not to the point where the people that need that income are hindered. I did briefly read an email today that they were offering an incentive if you had bought, I'm gonna probably quote this wrong, but it was where you were given so much of funding to remodel a house, and I would like to see Milford be able to do that with abandoned properties or farmland that is no longer being used, because sadly there's a lot of farms that aren't being used any longer, without compromising any asset that farmer may have still in existence. Maybe taking that property and offering a tax break or some sort of benefit that they would be able to utilize, and taking that land and building on that land for people to come in, whether it be apartment buildings or it be a mobile home, for lack of better words, a trailer park, or a mobile home park, if you will. Just something that, there's housing for incomes of all levels. I think that's a wise choice. We need all levels, not just the
Question about, so I asked you for the one thing that you want, priority, number one priority. If, for each one of you, if you wanna bring up another one, and what kind of actions would you propose to take if you were elected? So, kind of your number two issue that you'd like to take on. Let's start with Kristen.
Oh gosh. My number two priority. I think it would be the short-term rentals. Not that the one individual that does come religiously to our monthly meetings, that's your big concern, and it's not fair to the people that do live here year-round to be inundated with tourists, some disrespectful, some good for the community. And it's not fair to the town itself to lose the population that can keep our schools, open, and for the kids, and to have that Milford strong feeling. If we I am a firm believer that if we limit them, more people would populate Milford, and it wouldn't be in such a predicament with our school declining.
Let's see, Peter, what would be your number two?
I don't know, I think my number two would be, taxes and like the school taxes and seeing how we can combine that or change some of that, because, I mean, the school has a very large, yearly budget, which is, I mean, fantastic, and then we just need, I don't know, it's just, well, I know that is one of the problems, because that's, you know, it's outrageous, the school tax, and then, taxes are all going up, and they keep telling us, taxes aren't gonna go up, taxes are gonna go up 1%, 2%, which is nothing, and then you get your tax bill, it's like, oh, that went $100 or $200, and to some people, that is the difference between eating hamburger and cat food, you know, not saying that there are that many poor like that around here, but that could be the thing, because, you know, it's just, okay, we'll raise the taxes and it'll make it look beautiful, you know, make it do this, but it is killing the town, you know, because, you know, this town, from what I remember 20 years ago, 55% of this town were people over 55. I mean, and you can't just keep raising taxes on them, because most of them are on, like myself, I'm disabled both my neck and back, so I'm on Social Security. I've been on Social Security for 25 years, you know, because I'm broken, and you can't say, oh, we're just gonna raise it 1% or 2%, okay? I don't have that 2%, so what are they going to have to lose out on or not have at home? Because, you know, we need, that place to look prettier, we need this to look better, we need this to do this, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Peter. And, Jessica?
I personally was thinking, some more attraction to small businesses. I think the bicycle shop has really been just a little gem in our community. Do something to attract small businesses that come here. A bakery, like the lovely one in, what is it, five children in Sherburne, Gilbertsville. It's just a little gem. Just something to attract some more business here. And now with the corner store and yarn shop gone, you know, that was a great little hub. It was a hub for our senior citizens. Those ladies kept an eye on our citizens that walked in there. I think we had some more gems like that in our community that would be helpful, even in Portlandville. I mean, the kayak facility is phenomenal. It brings a lot of different people here. But I think some small business attraction, even if it's seasonally, would be helpful to our community and just maybe help give that stronger sense of community.
And,
Those are all really great things. I know that, I guess there's a lot of things to be worked on, but I think my number two would be going with something that Kristen had actually mentioned earlier, is working on improving the working conditions and the facilities that the town has. And I know that I've approached the board because in conjunction with that, the youth also need another field to play baseball and softball on. And we had talked about, in working together, we can have a synergistic relationship to provide something where it helps us both out with grants and things like that. But certainly doing things to help to improve the community, to make it so that it may draw and be more appealing to people in that way.
okay. Any questions, last questions for our esteemed group of candidates? Okay. All right. So, just recent, now what we've been talking about, I'm just gonna quickly summarize some of the things that came up. So, whether it's, we talked about about, comprehensive plan, we talked about how to improve communication between the boards and the residents, talked about, the, utilities, issues with utilities and power outages, how to sustain the school numbers, how to, get the community more involved, how to handle conflict, what does Milford Strong mean, what does the town do well for the community, talked about affordable housing, and then, the issues with small-term rentals and school tax, discussion, and, how to attract small businesses, and improving those facilities for the workers. So it's been a really great discussion. So I'd like to move ahead to our closing statements. So if you wish to do so, we have a 1-minute closing statement. So again, the order was done by separate draw this evening. So we'll start off with first person for the closing statement is Kristen.
I would just like to say that it's been a pleasure the last 7 years to serve the town of Milford, and I look forward to hopefully serving the town for another 3 years. It is a passion of mine. Like I said, I'm born and raised here. I plan on dying here. I would just like the opportunity to continue serving, and I appreciate any vote that I can get.
Thank you. Russell.
My motivation to serving is really just to help the community, be a part of the community, to be actively engaged in helping to make Milford and the area in which my kids are being raised a better place. So I really, that's the interest that I have. Now, there's some wonderful, wonderful candidates here, and I don't think you're going to go wrong with any of them. But know that I will, whether I'm elected or not, I'll do the best I can to serve you.
Thank you, Russell. And Jessie.
Well, thanks everyone for coming out. I'm really glad there's not more of you because I'd be really scared. I thank you for your time. I think I just would like to give back to this community that's given so much. And I'm grateful for the time you guys took and everyone here took. And I've already learned stuff already. I look forward to seeing you all again.
I'm just thankful that I'm here, and thank you for everyone sitting and listening, and I'm just, if I'm elected, I will just do the best of my ability to help beautify this town and keep this town how it was 100 years ago when they built the dam, or 200 years ago when the church was built over on the corner there, when it was an actual thriving community that people would actually meet, you know, and it's just, I've seen how other places are because I graduated from South Cartwright, and then I moved to California, and then I moved back here, so I've seen major, and I see beautifulness, like I said before, this is great, and I'm just, you know, if I get voted in, I will put as much effort into it as I do as the president of Milford Good You Like Association and on the Rotary.
Well, thank you to the candidates and the audience for making this a valuable and participative event. Election day is November 4, and the town hall is your polling location. It's open from 6 to 9, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. You can also vote early starting this Saturday. And the early voting locations are the Meadows Complex in Cooperstown and the Brenner Building in Deanwood Park in the Willianta. One more thing is that on the back of the ballot, there is a statewide proposition. It's a little bit confusing, I think, for some, so I was hoping maybe Hoodie could kind of explain briefly what your ballot over is.
Just a quick word, remember to turn your ballot over, there's a proposition on the back, so after you've voted for your town council candidate, turn the ballot over and vote for the state proposition. State proposition is a little bit confusing. What happened, this relates to the Adirondacks Park, which is defined in our constitution. So if anything is done in that park, it has to be a constitutional amendment, and that's what you're voting for. What happened is that the Olympics Committee took some land in the park and created some new facilities there. They are, in exchange, offering to fund the purchase of a much larger parcel that would be added to the park that would be wild land, so it would replace the wild land that was taken. So if anybody wants more details on it, it's a little bit complicated, but I'll be happy to tell you about it.
Get out there and vote, and we appreciate again all your efforts in running the office. It's really a great public service. So.
As a reminder, if you'd like to have a substantial ballot, you can see who's running. And we have early voting day.
Yes,
This is the early voting date, and this is the single ballot, so you can see what